Okay, well, good afternoon. My name is Chris Waters. I'm a member of the IET, but today I'm here with my European Young Engineers hat on. So I'm also the Deputy Secretary General of EYE. And I realise probably not a lot of you have heard of who EYE are. We're an international organisation of volunteers from different national engineering associations from across Europe. We cover all disciplines and all different kinds of education, anything from apprentice all the way to doctorates. And our members are made up of the individual young professionals from these member associations. And for instance, we've got a few of them here, the VDI, which is the German Association of Engineers, the Association of Luxembourgish Students of Engineering, and the Order of Engineers from Portugal. So we have 20 associations, and some of those are based in the UK. We have the YRP, IMAREST, IOM3, and EYE UK, which was set up specifically to try and encourage young engineers and students from the UK to consider going abroad, even for a semester during your studies. You know, go and see what people are doing outside the UK, outside our little bubble. And we're actively growing. We've been an organisation since 1994, where we started with two members, and we've been running conferences for, 23 years now. So we've had 40 conferences, and we're trying to expand into Eastern Europe and down into the Iberian Peninsula, i.e. Spain. So what do? We bring together young engineers from all across Europe. And what we're trying to do is encourage you, all other engineers, to think internationally. There's a wealth of opportunity out there. And by its nature, engineering is an international discipline. You know, you go into any large engineering design office, it's not all going to be people from the same country. You know, we need the best people, all these different skills, they don't all come from the same place. We also try and foster mobility across Europe. So we work with the Federation of National Engineering Associations in Europe, FIANI, to try and encourage them to think about how we do professional registration, how do we manage the different kinds of degrees that we have across Europe, and how do we map them together so that it's easy for you to take your British degree and go to Germany or to Italy or to France. We also try and encourage exchange between these national associations. So granted, it's a little harder for us, but it's not uncommon for German engineers to go across to Denmark to an IDA event as opposed to staying just within the VDI. We also try and help you develop as a young engineer. So you might not get certain skills when you come to university. So how to present yourself, how to network effectively, communication skills, these kind of things you might not necessarily learn. When you come to an EYE event, you get this by the bucketful. You know, you're constantly talking, networking with people from all these different backgrounds, cultures, disciplines. It's really good. It helps you grow phenomenally. We have 3 activities. We publish an e-magazine twice a year called Eye Contact. This contains articles relevant to the young international engineer, as well as reports and reviews of the conferences that were coming up. I've talked about conferences to completely bury the lead here. We've also got a website where we try and connect people together. So it's not just twice a year you come and meet everyone. You know, try and keep that interaction going, building your own personal network across Europe. But the most important thing we do is hold conferences. Twice a year, we try and get as many members together from all across Europe in a different European city and just show them what's it like to be an engineer in that country. You get to learn a bit about the host country's culture, maybe about how they actually do business. You know, it does vary across the different European nations. And you get to engage in a little bit of personal development. So we do have workshops and seminars for you to develop the skills. That's a way you can sell it to your employer and say this is really a CPD opportunity and not just you to go off and build your own network. We've got lots of networking opportunities, some a bit more formal than others. We have a big gala dinner on the Saturday night. And we also have some technical and cultural visits. So if you come to an EYE conference, you'll be going into employers, into businesses to see exactly what they do. So you get to see part of an industry you might not necessarily see if you're already working. We subsidise our conferences so that they're at a level accessible for someone to pay themselves. So we find sponsorship so that you're never really out of pocket. This means that if you don't have the support of your employer, you can still come along. It doesn't cost a lot of money. And what you get out of it far outweighs what you're going to pay. So yeah, I've kind of already covered a lot of this. Workshops, seminars, networking sessions, these feature heavily in every I conference. We also have an I plenary where we talk about how we actually develop that network of I and what we're doing to try and represent the interests of young engineers across Europe. So we are in dialogue with, I said, FIANI, other professional bodies, the European Commission, just trying to make sure that it's easy for you to make the most of your career, whether it's in your own host country or abroad. Again, the conference, it's a bit like this, just bigger. It's over 3 days. We have multiple tracks, so it feels a lot more like a standard academic or industrial conference that you might go to later on in your career. So you kind of, if you're an engineer just starting out, you get to experience what it's like to be a practicing professional. It helps you prepare for your future career. And like I said, they're always subsidized. I'll not go into this too much detail, it's not really relevant to you at that moment, but we do have an I Council, so each member association does have representatives on the board, and that's how we decide where our conferences are going to be next, what kind of skills we want to focus on developing within the network. And I'm a member of the task force, which meets several times a year all across Europe to kind of further the aims of the organisation. And we develop the strategy that kind of keeps us going forward. And you've heard it here first. The next IA conference will be held in Bristol. This is our last gasp before Brexit makes it really difficult. 16th to 18th of June, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Will be hosted up in Engineers House in Clifton, which is it's now a conference centre, but it used to be a very grand stately home, a stone's throw from Brunel's famous suspension bridge. And our theme is Innovation is International. So, like I said, going forward, if we want to develop the future railway, like we said, the first letter in ERTMS is E for European. We're going to need skills from all over Europe. We can't do this on our own. The UK is just not big enough. As I said, our tickets are subsidised, and if you don't really want to deal with trying to find accommodation in Bristol, it's very difficult. £180 will pay for 2 nights accommodation, all your meal on board, and the conference registration fees, so it's still a very accessible price point. I can't tell you too much about what we're going to do yet, but it will involve a very fancy gala dinner in the centre of Bristol. We'll be going for a private showing at the UK's only high-resolution 3D planetarium, and if I can wangle it, I'll try and get us into the hangar where Concorde's being stored as they're building the airspace centre up in Filton. But really, a video is probably the best way for me to show you what it's like to be a conference. So European Young Engineers is an association of the young engineers from various different national associations across Europe. Hopefully twice a year, we organise conferences that bring people together and allow them to learn a bit about themselves and also learn about what it's like to be an engineer in the country that we're visiting. It's a great opportunity to see new places and meet new people that you might not necessarily meet while you're working in your regular job.
At those conferences, you always get to participate in workshops, you learn different perspectives, and you don't focus on the technical side so much as you focus on maybe the soft skill side, and there's a lot to learn.
What's really good about European Young Engineers is that it brings people together from all across the continent. It's also really good for building your personal network and making the connections that could potentially be your next joint research venture, or maybe even your next job.
A good example how you can live, how you can feel Europe, and it brings young people, young engineers from all over Europe together to one place and just to enjoy 3-4 nice days together.
There's a great social network and you make some really great friends. So I hope that it goes from strength to strength and more people get the opportunity to get involved.
There we go, that was IET Hanover that was last year. It was attached to the Hanover Messe, which is Europe's largest industrial trade show. And that was phenomenal. We got an extra day just to go around and see all the kind of stuff that the likes of Rittel, all these industrial automation people were doing. It's great. And that guy in the trike's actually one of Ireland's 30 under 30s, so make of that what you will. So yeah, I hope to see some of you at the next EYE conference in Bristol. You can register now on the website there, and we'll let you know when registration opens. So thank you.